To be honest, the reason why you're not able to sign a client or move forward within your agency is not about missing strategies or tactics. It's about the simple thing I will show you in this video. And this thing actually held me back for more than 1.5 or 2 years. But after figuring it out, I moved forward so fast. And the current problem is that you are not used to do the hard work. So to do the outreach, to have the sales calls and put in the work you need to put in. Because the problem is that these things feel hard and your brain don't want to do them, right? So in order to understand this, we first of all have to understand what dopamine is. And dopamine is a hormone that gets sent out if it gets triggered by certain things in your environment. For example, scrolling on social media, getting a client or stuff like that. So after it gets triggered, it will be sent out and you feel happy. So dopamine is this thing that actually makes your body and your brain feel happy, okay? And the problem is that a usual day of most people looks like this. Okay, so it starts at like 8 a.m., let's say, and it ends at like 7 p.m. Okay, so this is like the day. And here I will show you like the dopamine release that most people have throughout one day. Okay, and the problem is that it looks like this. Okay, so you have different dopamine spikes here, so different. For example, at 10 a.m., your dopamine is super high, then at 11 a.m. it's low again, and then at 12 p.m. it's high, and then it's low, and then it's high again. And the problem with this is that when you get used to like this dopamine spikes right here, right, so to this dopamine spikes here, then operating from this normal level right here feels super hard for you because it like makes you not happy, and it drops from like this high energy that you have here to like this low that you have here. And the problem is that these things that give you high dopamine, so that makes you feel like here, are normally like fake dopamines, right? So these are like things that come from your environment and that makes you feel like the dopamine on a fake level, right? But on the other side, the low area right here is the area where you do your work in. So this is where you actually do the work and you get like real dopamine. So the problem is that if you start your day and you go to social media, for example, you immediately get fake dopamine and your dopamine gets up here, right? The problem with this is that after you finish scrolling social media and you then start doing outreach or you have a sales call coming up, your dopamine drops to like this level here because then you do the work and you don't have like the stimulus anymore. And then it feels super hard to do the work because you are used to be at like this high dopamine level, right? And after you, for example, finish your cold calls, then you have a lunch at like 12 p.m., for example, right here, 12 p.m. And then your dopamine is high up again because then, yeah, you have like this big lunch, you get energy drain, and you feel like this fake dopamine again for a couple of minutes. So you're at a super high energy level. And then after you're done with the lunch, it drops again right here. And then you, for example, have to do like a sales call, right? And as I said, like the problem is that you have like the spikes in there. And that the spikes come from fake things, so not like the things that truly make you happy or truly like come naturally, like signing a client, doing outreach or doing the work, right? So we first of all have to understand that there's like fake dopamine and there is like real dopamine. And the real dopamine comes from things that you do, from doing the work. For example, showing up in the gym every single day, doing 100 cold calls, signing a client, or showing up like your highest self in a sales call. So the real dopamine is good. And we want to get as much real dopamine as possible. But the fake dopamine is bad because this comes from like external things that you cannot control. And it just makes you feel good and it pumps up your dopamine to a super high level, right? So if this is like the normal level, as I showed you right here, this is like the level of dopamine you get from like fake things. So what we have to do is we have to get rid of the spikes throughout the day so we can focus on our work and then load our dopamine to the end of the day where we can just release it so that the work feels good because the work is inside our normal dopamine level, right? So this is how like my day looks like and how your day also should look like, right? It also starts at like 8 a.m. It ends at like 7 p.m. And this is how it looks like. Right? So throughout the day for like, I don't know, like 8 or 9 hours, I do nothing else but the work. So I do my outreach, I have my sales calls and do all the things I need to do within my agency. And at the end of the day, I just release all the dopamine with doing the things I like to do. For example, I don't know, scrolling on social media, having like a big lunch or whatever. And this causes that doing the work throughout the day feels super easy and super simple, because I'm not like throughout the day, I'm not used to like this high dopamine level that people are exposed to every single day, right? Because as I said, like it feels really hard to do the work down here if you are used to like this dopamine level here every 10 minutes or so. So for me, it feels super naturally to do the work because this is like the highest dopamine, like this area is the highest dopamine I got for this day. And then at the end of the day, I can just release my dopamine. And after I slept, the dopamine is up at like, down at like 0 again. Like, so sleep resets the dopamine level. So if you follow like the structure, as I said, like the work feels like super easy because you don't have the spikes and you don't drop off like a high dopamine level down. And also the dopamine you get here, like in this area, like if we zoom in a bit, there will be still some like small spikes and downs. But this, first of all, is not like a big drop off that you would have like here, right? Plus the dopamine that you get from doing the work, so going to the gym, doing the outreach, having the sales calls, is real dopamine right here. And real dopamine is good because real dopamine rewards you for the things that you did. For example, showing up in a sales call, doing the outreach, whatever. Right? And this is like good momentum because this is like an upward spiral, because then you want to do more work and then you get rewarded by the work by dopamine, and then you want to do even more work. But you still keep your dopamine below this level, for example, because real dopamine is never so high as fake dopamine is, right? And yeah, if you just focus on this, then it looks like this. So you have like your day here, you have like this. Then you have like real dopamine right here, and you have like this fake dopamine right here. If you could get rid of like this fake dopamine, even better, but it's okay to like release the dopamine at the end of the day. And in this area, you just get all the work done. So for example, you could do like, I don't know, like at 9 a.m., you could start with doing cold calls. Then at 10 a.m., you have some sales calls. Then you focus like on managing the team. And at 7 p.m., you then release the dopamine with social media or a big lunch, stuff like that. So you just load the dopamine and release it to the end of the day. And if you can implement this, it does not like take longer than like, I don't know, like 10 minutes to build a schedule and implement this. Then doing the work will feel like so easy to you that it's super easy to do the things you have to do and put in even more effort than before, right? So if you implement this, I can guarantee you that you will move forward 10 times faster than you did before, and that this is one of the biggest things holding you back from getting your first client and moving forward if you already implemented all the strategy and all the things you have to do. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you in the next one.